Okay, we might already even be live. Yep. We're gonna do 20 minutes of work and then 5 minutes of breaks. If you're here and I just can't see you, hello and welcome. And if not, I'll talk to you in about 20 minutes. All right, we've got a little bit of time before break, but if you have anything that you'd like to chat about during the break, be sure to leave it in the comments. Thank you. Bing bong, it's break time. Great job making it through, everyone. I would love to know what people are working on. I'm planning my next month on digital sticky notes right now. I'm so excited you signed up for the journaling workshop. Hopefully you're still here. Sorry, I didn't see this for 15 minutes. You don't need to bring anything special, just pen and paper, your journal, ideally, if you have one. You can feel free to use it as an excuse to buy yourself some fun new stationery, but you definitely don't need to. Ooh, Anthropology of the British Museum. Cool. I'm so curious what like at the British Museum, or just like how they've moved through the world and gotten all of the things that they have in their collections and stuff. Oh, cool. That's amazing. What are you writing the paper for? Nice. It's been so snowy that it's like impossible for me to do laundry right now. I like can't get it to the laundromat. So thankfully I did it right before the big blizzard, but like I am running out of pants. I thankfully have a ton of other options, and work from home. So grateful that way. But yeah, if you're coming to the journaling workshop, which if you're here and you want to come to the journaling workshop, please do. It's going to be really fun. I'm really excited for it. But I journal in like a regular large moleskin. I've I've done that for like a decade at this point. But yeah, it's just, you write every day. And I use a copper Sharpie gel pen. It's a Sharpie gel pen. I love Sharpie gel pens. I cannot tell you how many I have. The metal barrel ones are really fantastic, and I always recommend them because the ink is really smooth. And then even when I get like other fun pens, I put the Sharpie gel ink in there because I can't get enough of it. So I keep things very simple in terms of journaling. I have one journal type that I use, and that's it. But I love that people have so many different ways that they can go. Love that you're in a skirt. That's so great. Yeah, I've been wearing sweatpants a lot more this winter, and like it does make me feel less like I can go anywhere and do anything during the day. This is the first time that working from home has really felt like I gotta get my shit together. Yeah, I'm a 0.7 person, so that'll be fun. Yeah, that's so fair. I think I'm in the journaling workshop, we're going to really explore like how people individually want to journal. It's not going to be really me telling you how to do it, but more like guiding you towards what you want to do in your journals. I don't think there is a way to just give people like a prescriptive way to journal because it's so uniquely individual to all of us. And some people don't even need to write words. Some people just want to do like scribbles while they think, and that can be enough for some people. Some people want to do much more like curated things. I'm talking to somebody right now who's doing like a lot of junk journaling, and they're like, does that count? I'm like, yeah, everything counts. I feel like sometimes people get very uptight about journaling, and I have like a very traditional journal. So I don't get this feedback a lot, but I see a lot of people be like, that doesn't count. That's not a journal. And I'm like, anything counts. Like, what do you mean? The rules are all made up. It's fine. So I'm really glad that you have your own method. And my hope would be that even if you came to the workshop, which no pressure to, you wouldn't find it like abrasive to your style at all, but rather just like complementary. We are going to go over kind of like the neurological stuff that happens with journaling and some of just like the benefits so that people can like feel really good about what they're doing, because I think that's important. And also, I just like to encourage people to do daily creative practices because I think daily creative practice is kind of why we're all here in many ways, you know? So I'm going to try to make something that I just had the idea for on Canva because we're about to come off of break for another 20-minute sprint. So I hope everybody is having a good time. Definitely leave comments, topics, questions, and I'll talk to you again after this next sprint. And I'm so tired, but I need to get more work done. So here we go. I genuinely do not understand why. Did I like group this? What did I do? Oh, I did. Ooh, do I want to do it? Ooh, that could be fun. I might temporarily remove the timer from sight because I'm going to write on my iPad. And I apologize if that's going to throw anyone off. Well, why am I suddenly not able to send it to Procreate? So weird. How are we doing on time? All right, we still got 8 minutes left. We're back. I believe we're done with the iPad. Hmm. Maybe this is why you shouldn't do things before you do things. Ooh, break time. We made it. Good job. Oh, I'm so glad that they've helped you avoid doom scrolling. Honestly, they do the exact same thing for me, uh, which sounds selfish to admit. I One of my things that my sister kept saying to me at the beginning of this year was like, you need to just start doing things that would benefit you because they'll probably benefit other people. And I really believe that. I am also such a scroller, and it's only gotten worse since I started making content. Because now I have those apps on my phone. Like I didn't have TikTok on my phone for a really long time. So I'm totally with you. And yeah, I'm so thrilled to hear that these are helpful. I feel like, yeah, that's exactly why I do these is because like I will not open my other tabs while people are looking. Like, and that sounds so silly, but it's the same approach I had to like going to the library in college. I'm just like, I need to make sure that I have accountability so that if someone looked at my screen, they're not like, why are you scrolling through Tumblr right now? Especially because like I forgot how good Tumblr is when people are on that platform. Like I've continued to use it for years, but I like write silly little text posts. Like I don't contribute to the Tumblr like creator ecosystem all that much. Um, my biggest hit in the last like 5 years. Actually, no, that's a lie. I had a really big Gilmore Girls post last year. I haven't watched Gilmore Girls in like 2 months, and it's fascinating because I feel like I went from thinking about it every single day, multiple times a day, to just not thinking about it at all. We think things will matter forever. And I'm sure I'll go back to it. Like it's one of my most watched, most returned to shows, but still. Just interesting how things work out like that. But I'm really excited about some of the stuff I'm working on right now. Like we just launched the meetings pack and So I'm glad to have stuff to do. I've just felt so behind that I've let myself get overwhelmed with how behind I am, and that stops me from doing anything and not making any progress. So I'm just trying to inch back towards like genuine productivity that's happening outside of like when I'm going live and making myself be productive. I get enough done, you know what I mean? But I'm not like, I have not been thriving recently, which is fine. I don't judge myself for it, but it's so hard sometimes to be a person. But yeah, body doubling is like genuinely very helpful. And I was thinking about doing these as like Zoom meetings for a while, but I think with Zoom it's just like you then feel I think a lot of people just feel watched. And that can be difficult even if it's like no, it's okay that your camera's off. I do think I might try to push myself in April to do like an entirely camera off workshop just to prove to people that you don't have to have people's camera on in order to like engage them and understand that people are there. Um, I don't know how that would go necessarily, but I think people might be interested in it, especially like I feel like I get a lot of questions about like how do I do introvert friendly facilitation, and I'm always like that is not a that is we need to retire the word introvert. Like I feel like everybody latched onto it really hard. It's the same thing with any time people leave. I get so many comments with the phrase frontal lobe development in it, and I'm just like, that is so pop science. I can't even stand it. I get why a lot of people buy into it. It's the same thing with like it's so eldest daughter coded. I'm like, I wish meme culture was different. But like, I'm also judgmental, so which is fine. I'm learning to embrace it. I forgot that I have opinions. Um, yeah, like Zoom is just like tough. I think Zoom is one of those. I keep getting ripped off by these two facilitators. And they don't know they're ripping me off. They think they're ripping off my sister, which is somehow like even more annoying to me. But it doesn't matter. They keep stealing my shit, and I feel like they're presenting it back to me in ways that I'm like they're running it through AI, which is annoying because I hate that my work is in AI. But they're really good at like repackaging my stuff in a way that I'm like, oh, I should be doing that. And I forget where that sentence started. Oh, I'm really judgmental. I think sometimes I overthink things. Maybe that's where I was going. I don't remember. Um, yeah, and I like the idea that people can like get up and do whatever they want. I hate AI. Anytime I start talking about AI online, I get too passionate about it. One time I posted like an anti-AI thing because I really hate meeting minutes in AI. I think meeting recaps done by Otter are like truly some of the worst shit we've ever given to people who already have to work in businesses. And so I made an anti-AI post and I got a bunch of fucking LinkedIn bros being like, AI's the future. And I was like, I fucking hate LinkedIn. Anyway, 20 more minutes. Let's go. Mm. Like, it'll ruin the effect if they're not all in the exact same place. Maybe I could do this. Part of me is like, should these all be on blue backgrounds? That's the beauty of editing. We'll see. Also, I don't think all of these should be 5 seconds. That seems really long. I think they should probably be like 3. Because the point isn't, yeah, I'm just saying shit out loud now. Yeah, it's got to be more like 1 second and I'll loop it. It's still really long. Why do these look like they're not in the exact same place? Okay, so that didn't work. What you're telling me is My idea didn't work. Yeah, these are already way late. Jesus Christ. This is how creative work is, but it's fucking annoying. This isn't even probably worth it. I don't really like my plan. Ah. It's break? Am I, or is that just, oh no, I don't think it's break. I can't tell. How can I tell? No, we've done 2. I'm just nervous that I'm missing break now. Okay, great. Thank you. I feel like when I feel like in How I Met Your Mother when Ted is writing professor on the board and he writes the second F and he turns around and the student's like, "No." Thank you. Nope. Actually, I like that one the best. Much better. That actually looks really cute. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, great. Yay, it's break time. I'm realizing I could have just turned the sound up because the breaks do have bird chirping, but my sound has been off on my iPad the entire time. Ooh, thank you for the practical Canvas suggestion. I ended up just redoing the whole thing, which actually it was fine. I am such a quick copy paster. Someone once wrote me an email being like, "I assume you use Stream Deck because your facilitation is so seamless," and I was like, "No, I use copy paste." My screen. I should film my screen during a workshop sometime, but I just keep all of my workshop notes in like a notes app, and then I just literally copy paste from there into the Zoom. But I'm fast with it because I learned Control V, Control C, Control V when I was very young. It is so interesting to me just how many things were like solely a millennial experience in terms of computers, because I feel like, I don't know, it's always interesting to me when I watch like Buffy and they have computer class and they're literally learning like how to code. And I had a lot of typing classes, and we had a lot of like, here's how to make a PowerPoint, here's how to make a blah blah blah, but like it wasn't the same thing. Um, so funny. I am so tired. I should probably go to bed. Maybe I'll do one more 20-minute session, and then if anyone wants to chat, we can chat for a bit, and then I'll go to bed pretty early tonight, and then I can kind of reset my sleep schedule. I gotta wake up and like clean my house tomorrow, and if I clean it in the morning and then I work out and shower, I'm gonna feel so good. And part of me wants to do some like yin yoga before I go to bed tonight, because I have been so stiff and I have not done yoga in forever, and I've not been working out. My body feels not in its best form, but I did some weights yesterday, and that's always good too. I'm just rambling. I did get a lot of brainstorming done, which is delightful. Because now that means I just have to plug it in. I love yoga too. I wish my budget right now included going to yoga class. Because I love going to classes. I feel like I really enjoy having someone walk me through it. I do a lot of yoga with Adriene videos though, and I think she's incredible. I have on my Notion page, where is my Notion? I don't need these. Oh, I didn't expect Meg to see that. Sick. On my Notion page, I do like a meditation. I do her 7-minute meditation every day. And then I have like a different yoga video that I do every day. So on Fridays, I do quick fix. They're all like five, they're all like 5 to 10 minutes. And they're very like low. Oh, my sister just had a great idea. That's so fun. Oh, I'm glad she likes it. I'm really proud of that. I'm glad everybody saw me fiddle with it for 20 minutes straight. Why is it still saying new messages? Okay, it's just being stupid. But yeah, I thought about like, somebody asked if I sell my Notion template, and I'm like, no, because it just feels so easy to make. We don't work together officially full time anymore. We worked together full time for 4 to 5 years, and I had a very easy time with it. But I am the younger sister who is also not in charge of the company. And when we decided to stop working together, it was a difficult time. I had a very weird year that year, because the communication breakdown that happened was just bad. It was just bad. And we both take accountability for how it got to where it got. But we did have a tough time figuring out like how to move forward as a company. And basically my sister just was like, she had been running this company for 15 years, and she was like, I think I want to do organizing full time. Which is now what she's doing, which is amazing, and I'm so proud of her. But she felt guilty telling me that, and so it kind of festered for a while. I shouldn't be spreading all of our whatever. So it was fine. It was just like, I think it was the things that made it difficult really made the dissolution of the company in the form that it had been in difficult. But we never like lost our sister relationship. I don't know. I also had to go through like a business dissolution with my best friend. So, yeah, no worries. Yeah, business and other relationships are really tricky to mix. Is what I've learned several times now. But I think it does come down to communication and having kind of conversations about what happens if one of us wants to get out at any point, so that you know how to pull the parachute instead of like letting everything get really close to the ground before the parachute's pulled. But it was good. I think like we had a really good relationship going into it, so that, and like I don't know, we didn't fight a lot. Like that was never part of our relationship. And Meg, my sister, really like respects me as like a person, and I really respect her and her work. Like she's my favorite facilitator. Um, and she taught me everything I know. So very thrilled about how it worked out. But yeah, difficult to work with family. I get why people don't do it. She's the only sibling I would work with. Although my brother is booking me for a meetings session, and he's a lawyer, so I was like, "You don't get a family discount, actually," and he was like, "That's fine." Uh, his company is doing well enough. He can throw me the full amount if he wants an hour of my advice, and he's happy to do it. Obviously, it was funny, but yeah, it's anyway. Great. One more 20-minute session, and then I might be done for the evening in terms of work, but I hope everybody is having a good time, and let's get to it. Yay. Why is this happening? So genuinely so strange. What's up, baby? Why are you crying? Yeah, you want to go to bed? We'll go to bed soon. Yeah. It's okay, Weem. You're so funny. me why you're crying. don't think you need this page in the printer version. All right, 50 seconds left. Type as fast as you can. This looks bad. I think I just gotta, oh no. Oh, it's already bad? We made it. Great job, everybody. I'm not following my own rules and stopping, but I'm really close. Okay. Yay, we did it. We made it to the long break. Congratulations on doing a full hour of work. If you've been following along. Weem says hi back. It's her favorite thing to do is cry. Hi. Oh, she poked her head out. She's hanging. I have like a cat tower that's kind of, I have like a weird living room thing. I live in a railroad apartment, so like I have to have like a light area. So there's like a hole in the wall between my kitchen slash office and my living room, and Weem's cat tower is right next to me. I'm realizing I could just simply show you what I mean. Well, not really, because this is in a thing. We're doing so great. Hopefully no one got seasick. Weem, you want to say hi? Hi, Weem. Yeah, I live in a railroad apartment. So my, if people are unfamiliar with railroad apartments, the middle two rooms do not get direct access to sunlight. So every room has to have some kind of access to natural sunlight. This is like an air shaft law that came about when these apartments were often used for like tenement housing in the early 1900s. And I did a project on air shafts when I was a sophomore in high school. And I think about it all the time because we wrote a little jingle about how you needed to have air shafts as a landlord. Yeah, no, railroad apartment. Yeah, the D and the A blending together makes a lot of sense there. Yep. Railroad apartment. I have lived here for, this is my 6th year in this apartment, the longest I've lived in any place ever in my entire life. We moved every year, sometimes twice a year when I was a kid, so settling is not in my nature. And it's been really fun. I love my apartment. It's like painted and all that stuff kind of now. I'm getting it to a place that I really love it. I really love my furniture. I've like slowly invested over the years. And I need to find a new lamp base because I have a really cool lamp shade that I can't use. And I want to use it so bad. But yeah, I find New York architecture really fascinating. But when my apartment was built, we didn't have indoor plumbing. So my bathroom is very strange. And that's why all of the places near me and around me have backyards, is because that's where people used to have to go pee. So now my shower is like a half shower tucked into the corner, and I have the world's smallest sink. And every time people come over and they're going to use the bathroom, I'm always like, my sink is pretty tiny. And then they go in there and they're like, wow, I've never seen a smaller sink. And that always makes me laugh. So, but at my last apartment, we had water that was so hot, it like scalded people. And so we'd always have to warn them about that. People don't believe you until they get scalded by the hot water. Hell yeah. Do they live in the Lower East Side? It's a classic, like when these apartments were built, people didn't have indoor plumbing, and also like there's no space. I had a friend who had a shower in their kitchen. it's just wet. Like everything just gets a little damp. Um, but you make do. I've had wacky everything in New York is a little bit wacky. And it's character. I have a friend who lives in like a modern apartment, and we're always kind of bemoaning just like the lack of vibes that her building has. But she does have a roof, so like that you can take an elevator up to, and that you don't have to like belly crawl out onto. Actually, my roof I found out you can walk up onto as well, but my roof is like in direct sunlight. It's wild. I do love going up there though. I have a really nice view of Manhattan. I mean, not what like no, actually my I can see the Empire State Building like really directly from where I live. Um, no, I pay more than I've been paying for the last 5 years. I'm still so bitter about it. My landlord raised my rent this year. But I don't pay a ridiculous amount for my apartment. I used to have a joke in my stand up that I got my apartment in a COVID deal, and that the deal is that I will die here. Um, it was really much more manageable when two of us were living here. That was incredible. Now I pay so much more in rent. My rent doubled overnight. Um, and I said that once, and somebody was like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I was like, "I broke up with someone who was paying half the rent." My friend's rent is like, I think she's paying like 2,100 now, and I pay a little less than that. But technically I have a 3 bedroom. Like it's really a 2 bedroom plus a living room plus a kitchen, but like one of the rooms isn't like a room because but like yeah, railroads are really interesting that way because like I have so much space, but my house is a hallway and my hallway is my house. So it's hard to like make rooms out of everything because everything has to be walked through all the time to get to the other side. Um, so it's fascinating. Yeah, 1 bedroom in Manhattan for 2.2. That's a solid deal. I lived in Harlem for 3 years when I first moved back, and I think we were paying. There was two of us in a studio that was two. I want to say it was like 240 square feet. It was so fucking small. We lived there for 2 years, and one of those years was COVID. Um, it was it was so claustrophobic by the end. And we were paying, I think, like 1,600, and that was in like 2018. I moved back. So there were still some good deals, and like East Harlem, especially, was like really cheap at that time. I mean, my place was like infested with roaches, and like we had a lot of issues in that building, but access wise, it was incredible. Could go to the Six, I could go to the Q. The bus dropped us off like around the corner. It was so easy to get to LaGuardia. I had to take like two steps to get to the airport via bus. So that was really wonderful. Toronto's cool. I've been to Toronto one time and I really enjoyed it, and the food there is great. I think I lived in Portland, Oregon for a few years. Fucking hated it. The public transport was not robust enough for me. That's really what I've realized about New York that no other city has is 24-hour public transit. Like when I leave my house, I am never worried about how I'm going to get home. Because worst comes to worst, I will just walk. Like everywhere is not that far. Like one day we walked like 10 miles and then I like could not move the next 2 days, but that was also because I was wearing bad shoes. And after that, I was like, never leave the house wearing bad shoes. The other night I had to walk home and I ended up walking, I got a blister. So I stopped and I got an Uber about halfway home and it was $5 because I had walked most of the way and like I was in an area that's just like not high traffic. And it was, I was so happy. Um, I think like the thing I encourage everyone who wants to move to New York to try everything is difficult when you first do it, but you can find rooms for rent and things like that. Like there are ways to make it manageable, I think, And also like what you pay in rent, you save in other things. Like I don't have car payments, I don't have car insurance. I walk to get my groceries like every 2 days, so I don't have tons of grocery expenses because like I don't have a lot in my fridge at any given time, so nothing goes bad. And like I walk so many places, like the subway being $3 is a crime. But hopefully Zoran will follow through with the free buses thing. And I love a bus, especially if you live in Brooklyn. Buses are essential, so much more navigable. And I hate driving. I have not driven in over 10 years, which makes me feel like, well, that's dangerous. I can't get behind the wheel of a car anymore. But I hate driving and I hate cars and I hate what they do to the environment. So I feel really good about the fact that I don't do that. Um, yeah, New York is really the thing about New York is like it's tough, and this is the place with the most concentrated amount of companies. So it's really like I do think that if you're not working with like recruiters, but you're in an industry where there are recruiters, absolutely. Also, if you can get a remote job and be in New York, that's key. Like that's kind of what I do is like I run my own businesses, but I do a lot of remote workshops for clients and things, but like when they want to book me for in person, it's great that I'm in New York because I can fly anywhere direct basically. So like I'm going out to do a workshop in Arizona. Yeah. No, New Mexico. I'm going out to Santa Fe in June. And they were like, you can fly directly into Santa Fe. And then we looked it up and it was like, I should actually fly direct. You cannot fly directly into Santa Fe. You have to transfer. And I was like, I don't want to transfer. And then, so I'm flying into Albuquerque and then taking an hour long Uber because they don't have a bus anymore. They used to have a bus from Albuquerque to Santa Fe and they don't anymore. And I'm like, why? Um, yeah, I mean, that's the thing about New York is that it's not sprawled. Like, it's so fucking concentrated, especially like Manhattan is claustrophobic. Um, it's kind of too much. I really love my neighborhood. I never want to get too specific online, although like I must have at some point because I ended it was really fun, but I ended up going to yoga class with a girl who was like, I think you mentioned living in this general area and I live here too and I would like to hang out. And so we did. And that was really funny. Um, yeah, buses are so great. Buses really, I think people underestimate how great a bus can be when there is no bus infrastructure and how easy it is to like kind of create a bus infrastructure. My favorite local bus is the buses on Honolulu. They're just the bus in Hawaii, like on the Big Island or not the Big Island, on Honolulu, is just called the bus. Like, um, yeah, I am never lonely in New York. You can interact with so many people on at any given second. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but like I tend to stay in the city for holidays and things like that, and sometimes like I'm the only one in town and people are like, "Are you lonely?" And I'm like, "No, everything is open." Like I had conversations with 15 different people today. Like, don't worry. It's nice. I like when I used to wake up really early in the morning, I loved going to like the bakery that I live nearby because they're open at 6 like a good coffee shop should be because all the fucking coffee shops that are like more expensive and fancy and whatever they open at like 7, 8, 9 a.m. and it's like you're a fucking coffee shop. You have to be open before 9 a.m. Actually, it's the law. You have to call yourself something else if you're opening at 9 a.m. and you provide caffeine as your main outsource. uh, So I love going to the bakery at 6 a.m. because I loved sleepily interacting with people. Like I think the morning is a great time to like actually just get work done because your brain's not fully on. So you can kind of trick yourself into doing shit. For a while, I used to be so good about my mornings. I would wake up and I would go for an hour long walk and then I would come home and I would write 6 pages in my journal. But I was also deeply depressed and just trying to get over it. And now, right now, I feel, just like in deep grief, and I'm sleeping all the time and staying up until 3 reading. Well, mostly fanfic, I'll be honest. Like, there's just so many good ones. And my friend Christina, who like got me into heated robbery in the first place, is writes fanfic and stuff. So um, oh my God, yes, so true. So true about the laundering money, especially so many restaurants launder money. I don't know. I don't know if that's common knowledge. I went to school in Ithaca, New York, and I went to college there, and there were three. Is this too specific? Is this slanderous to say? There were 3 restaurants owned by the same guy, and all of them were just fronts for him to launder his um, 80s cocaine money through. Because they made so much more money on the books than they ever sold. And like all my friends who worked there we're just like straight up like, yeah, he's cooking the books, but like in a money laundering kind of way. But then he started making them wear sexy referee outfits for sports night, and they all quit. So Um, I don't know, so I'm not going to. She hasn't written about Heated Rivalry, but she her I think her most recent one was about the pit. She's a great writer, but I don't know if she'd want that out there, so I'm just gonna uh, err on the side of caution, but I'll ask her. Um, but she's really she's the one who for years has been like, please read these fucking books. Like, I'm begging you to read these books so that I can have someone to talk about Shane Hollander with. And so when I finally read them, which happened after I watched the show, she was like, let's go. And so we text. I mean, I've made some videos kind of based on what we've talked about, but I've never actually made videos completely about what we talk about because like I just feel like I don't know, those are like our text ideas. But she's so smart. And she's like one of my favorite people to text about this kind of stuff with because she's been in fandom for a really long time, but she's very like I don't know. She's in fandom in ways that I also enjoy being in it, where it's like you find like 5 or 6 people that you really agree with, and then you talk to them about shit instead of like trying to be a big name in fandom. But I really enjoy her blogs and stuff. She's very very smart. But yeah, we talk about Shane all the time. Like because I think Shane is maybe one of the most mischaracterized characters in fic, and I don't mind an OOC. Like that's fine. You know, it's fic. So my whole belief is like I do not complain in public about fic. Especially like one fic, you know what I mean? Like I'll complain about like trends that I'm seeing if I think they're pointing to greater injustices and biases that people are carrying out through fic. But in general, you get to do whatever you want to do. Um, Obviously, it's whatever. But I think Shane is one of the most like misunderstood fundamentally characters that I've ever come across. And I feel like there's so many fics where I'm just like, he would not fucking say that. And so like we text about that all the time. There was one really good one that I was reading, but like because I've fallen into a few that I've enjoyed of like Shane gets traded to Boston fics. There's one where he gets traded kind of like post cup stuff, and then there's one that I was reading yesterday. Well, I read it a while ago, but he gets traded like rookie year. And I don't want to call this fic out like I don't know. I think it's a really good fic, and I really like the writing in it. But the author made the decision that like Yuna was going to be like weirdly still loyal to Montreal and like give Shane a bunch of shit for like and like not be good about him being traded to Boston his rookie year. And I'm like, she would have burned her merch. Like, no, we can't make him fight with Yuna. Um, and yeah, it was an interesting choice, is what I'll say. And I'm just very sensitive to I think a lot of characterizations of women in fic in particular that where they act in ways that I'm like that doesn't make sense with her character, but it's you know everybody's allowed to do whatever they want. But otherwise I thought the fic was like a 10 out of 10. So when I was telling her about it months ago or like a month ago I was like yeah no this is good, I just didn't like this part, but I never sent her the link for whatever reason. I sent her this link to this other one called Boston Boys, which I think is good. But I think now it's like I think the author has really gotten in the flow, so now the chapters are much more like short kind of update stuff. So it's fun. It's a good one to follow. But we were talking about that one because she also really enjoyed that one, and then I was mentioning this other one, and then she found it organically last night. And was like, I think I found the fic you were talking about a month ago because I couldn't find it again. Anyway, this is why. If I also there was a really interesting. I yeah. I think so. I think that the show did something very interesting with Yuna's character, where it's like it adds a complicated feature to have the momager be like part of this stuff, and Yuna's very like not she's not great at creating like space for Shane to come to her with like the anything that's true, but like it's like I appreciate the nuance that was added there, but I think a lot of people are now turning it into conflict that I don't think makes sense for their characters, which is fine. Again, people are allowed to do whatever they want. But sometimes with mothers, sometimes authors are working things out that they're not even conscious they're working out. Um, yeah, it's really easy to fall into misogynistic tropes. Like that's just the truth of it. And a lot of stuff with Shane is also misogynistic because like it's not all homophobia is based on misogyny, but a lot of homophobia, particularly in American homophobic culture, is based on like anti-feminine rhetoric. Like the sin that a lot of gay men are committing in terms of the mind of a homophobe in America is that they are a woman, and so that's what's being reviled. And so I think a lot of times, like when we talk about like infantilizing Shane or feminizing Shane, unless it's being done in like a kink way, in which case that's a different thing. Um, a lot of that comes from like just biases, honestly, and it's weird to watch them play out sometimes. And misogyny in particular, which like I don't know, I there's like we were talking about this the other day, but like there's an interesting trend with like straight men really loving Scott and Kip much more than Shane and Illy. Like statistically, they're all obsessed with episode 3. And I was talking to Christine about it, and I was like, they yearn for a power imbalance. Like I do not understand. Like that is the only thing that I can really understand in terms of that thing. It's interesting. Like I have seen a lot of gay men also really enjoy that episode. I'm not saying that everybody who enjoys it does for that reason, but it's like um yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I think like that's also the thing about top and bottom discourse and like um it's interesting. I was watching a video of a girl who's from Russia, and she was talking about how Russian homophobic culture is much more based in prison rape culture, and how like a lot of homophobia can actually be directly tied to how like the level of homophobia within certain areas in Russia can be directly tied to the number of prisoners who are released in that area. And how topping is not seen as shameful. Like, which again, the reason that receiving is seen as shameful is because it's feminine. It's because it's like it's misogynistic to look at um, receiving something as being inherently degrading. Which is also like I don't know. I don't think I posted these videos over here. I did on TikTok, but there's been a lot of videos that I've made on TikTok in the last few days, and I'm like, I don't know that that's one for YouTube. I think I'm just angry about something, a comment that a misogynist left me, because I'm getting a lot of misogynists in my comments because I'm talking about the hockey stuff, and men are like, what do you expect? And I'm like, basic human decency. I know that's too much, but I was talking about how the second wave, like anytime people are like, it can't change, I'm like, okay, tell that to the second wave feminists who got me the bank account that allows me to bankroll my entire life, and I get to run my own companies, even though that wouldn't have been possible for me 40 years ago. So it's just one of those things where I'm like, progress happens every day, and it only happens if we believe. But in terms of second wave feminists, I said something of like, the second wave feminists were like, this sucks. Can we have our own bank account? And then I started laughing at myself because like sucks was literally the word that the second wave feminists were like, you have to stop using sucks and you have to stop, you have to stop giving oral sex. And like, I think with sex, there's like so many more conversations to be had around like, is like a feminist approach and you know, centering female pleasure and all these things. And I'm just like, I think it's much more complicated and human than we allow it to be a lot of times. But the idea that sex is inherently denigrating to whoever is being penetrated is very much like misogyny. Like it's that's what it is. And I think this is like a complicated conversation, so I want to be very careful in how I word it because I know what I mean, but I don't know if I'm communicating it in ways that are like delicate enough. Um, but I think like that's been on my mind recently when people are talking about gay men and the way that like the way that the heated rivalry fandom gets written about and like the silencing of gay men that I keep hearing referred to in the fandom. And I'm like, well, I think like the reason that women had pushback to the Alex E. Young article, and like I know that he is an Asian gay man, was because he wasn't writing about his experience. He was investigating and interrogating why women were so into it. So I don't think it's being like we're silencing gay voices when we're really just asking to not be written about with misogynistic undertones. And gay men are not absolved of being misogynists because none of us are absolved of being misogynists. We live in a patriarchy. It's drilled into us. So I find that there's some critiques that I'm just like, I think this is disingenuous. But I also think a lot of people are just and particularly men, are not used to being told like to go away or to be quiet. And so anytime it happens, it feels like a real affront to them. And I'm like, I get comments telling me to shut up. I get comments telling me that that I'm straight and I don't belong in this sphere and I'm fetishizing gay men. And you just have to learn to let it roll. Like, it's, yeah, like, and also I'm worried about this whole linking to fic behind a paywall thing. Like, not to invoke Anne Rice, but like, are you making are you making money linking to something that cannot legally have money made off of it? That's a yikes. Um, so I think I hate the fourth wall break in fandom. I really do. Um, I've been talking about this for a while with my friends, but just like I've always hated like read horny tweets and like that kind of stuff, but I just feel like it's gotten so much worse lately, and it's just so unimaginative. I don't know. Um, I I only watched the video revealing who James Somerton was. So that is my only reference. Yeah, like exactly. Children are no longer the property of their father, and women are no longer sold for pigs in marriage. Um, I also I think that this is so interesting. I think it's interesting that we're now linking to fic on Twitter so openly, and like so many people are making lists and things. I'm like, this used to be like a very exclusive to like Tumblr, and only certain blogs would do it. And like, I don't know, fic is one of those things that like I don't think it needs to be like passed around under the table in the dark, but I do think that the kind of, I don't know, it was that thing where like I don't know if this breached, if like it got out of TikTok, but there was a guy who wrote his first fic and he tagged it completely incorrectly. Like I think he wrote Hudson Connor fic, and he then tagged it Shane and Ilya, and people were like, you can't do that. And he got like mad, and he like, somebody left him a really nice constructive comment being like, hey, it seems like you're new here, like this is how to actually do it. And he like deleted them and blocked them, and then made a TikTok video being like, haha, that loser. And everybody was like, no, if you're coming into AO3, we will eat you fucking alive if you do this. And I just think that people have no respect for spaces that they have not been in, and everybody comes in ready to like dominate the space. And it's like, it's not the point. That's not the point. We're here to enjoy. What do you mean you're using AI to write your fucking fics? Yeah, locked live. The thing is, we used to have to work for things. We used to have to get locked live journals. We used to have to like, I don't know. I was thinking about this in terms of bootlegs, and I was like, I had to track someone down on LiveJournal, make friends with them, and then I had to beg them to send me an exclusive bootleg so that I could finally get into the exclusive bootleg community, so that I could download bootlegs of Broadway shows. Like it was a whole process, and by the time you got there, you really felt like you earned it. The sweet, sweet relief of wicked bootlegs. Um, yeah, like the the author who was linked to in the fic has written. I thought their response on Twitter was really great. They said overall they thought the article was good, but this was obviously disappointing and very strange for them. And it is that thing of like, you're putting it out onto the public internet. So do we have a say in how it is linked to or used? Like if somebody linked to my video in that article and didn't ask me, there's no like legal recourse for me because it's out on the internet and it's up for use. But with fic, there is legal gray area that I think people are just genuinely unaware of. And like, that's something that I think like in fandom is like lore that gets passed down. I was talking to somebody recently and I was like, we used to have a term for a lot of this stuff. It was called fandom wank. Like, I wish we'd bring that phrase back, because like that is what half of the stuff I see happening in fandom is. And I'm like, when did everybody start assuming that fandom was like a super fun, always happy, super supportive place to be? A lot of fandoms should be that, but like rarely are they. Like, are you kidding? And I feel like it's like some of the most popular things to ever come out of fanfic and fandom have been the result of like years worth of, like it's 50 Shades of Grey, like that author was like reviled. And like, I don't think it's, what's the one that's not ACOTAR that was based on Draco Malfoy fanfic that came out before all the other Draco Malfoy fanfic? Crown of Thorn and Roses. Is that ACOTAR? I don't fucking know. It was Cassandra Clare. What did she write? And City of Bones, that City of series, she had huge fandom like issues and stuff. Like I feel like that's just that was like a huge part of it. And so it's always fascinating to me that yeah, it's just interesting. Like, I think my friend is getting into the debate that everybody's now having about if Shane is knocking on the window or the wall at Ilya's house before he knocks on the door. And here's my thing. He might be checking the siding, whatever. But he then does immediately knock on the door. Because I've gotten a lot of comments being like, he rings the doorbell. But he does knock on the door. So like, I think he's doing, like, he could be doing both, but I don't think I'm completely wrong in thinking that he just knocked in the wrong place. I'm willing to admit there are other interpretations, but he does knock on the door. So I'm like, everybody keeps saying like he's not knocking on the door. He does. Like 2 seconds after that. It's in the clip. And Ilya is walking and holding himself in such a particular way. And I'm like, it is so interesting to think about the actors having to be like, how are my back muscles rippling? No, it is so like I'm glad that it was interesting in the article when he was like talking about the history of fanfic, but then it felt like tits out at the door. It felt like he got a lot of just like literal timeline stuff wrong, but I'm always like, you have to go back even further. Like somebody pointed out in my comments recently, like Dante's Inferno is a fanfic. Sherlock Holmes had so much fanfic written about it. Like there were societies. Sherlock and Watson have been shipped since the early 1900s. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that's the stuff that I'm like, none of this is new. Like, sorry if Tumblr thought they invented John Locke. They didn't. Like, there's a reason that Stephen Moffat was like, I'm going to gay bait them so much. I am quoting Sue Sylvester when I say that. I'm going to create a show that is purely gay, like purely queer baiting. I hate Stephen Moffat so much. Have I said that again recently? I think he's one of the worst showrunners to ever exist. Like, I think that also somebody was like, don't infantilize Shane by saying that he got something wrong. And I'm like, that's not what infantilization means. I didn't infantilize him just because I said he made a mistake and I thought it was cute. Like, he's not a child. I don't think it's cute because I think he's an idiot. I think it's cute because he's nervous. Like, they're both nervous. It's why they're checking their hair. It is really cute that they're both checking their hair. I never noticed that Shane was checking his hair in the bathroom. And that is why I love making videos, because I get things pointed out to me and I don't have to work on any of it. It's really great. Okay, it is 11:35. I should probably go. Will I go soon? Who knows? I like to announce it and then chat for 20 more minutes because I am such a fucking yapper. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it's so silly that we treat anything that women do with suspicion in general, but fanfic in particular, I think is this thing that people are like, can you believe they're writing porn? And I'm like, yeah, women prefer to read. Like, in general, women prefer to read erotica instead of watching it, which makes sense when you see what's on offer in terms of watching it. And I also I don't know. I think it's so... There's a million explanations as to why women might be into a gay romance novel and like a gay ship within a romance novel. But I feel like we're always missing the most, like, people are just always trying to like intellectualize it. And I'm like, women are horny. Like, women get off on the same concepts that men get off on, and that non-binary people get off on, shit they say. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be super binary about this shit, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, I was talking to my friend about this, I'm like, I sometimes my brain goes into like, is this inappropriate? And I'm like, no, like, this is why it's so stigmatized. But my friend and I were talking about doing some kind of show where girls would get up and talk about how they masturbate, like their masturbation
like routine and techniques and stuff, because it's just not talked about. Like women do not have a masturbation culture. And when I was growing up in particular, like there was a lot, like there was more jokes back in the day, at least, about like boys finding a Playboy in the woods and like circle jerks and showing all your friends your favorite porn was like a tradition that I know a lot of my guy friends engaged in at different times in their life, which you construct intricate rituals to get hard in front of other men vibes, but okay. And that's fine. My best friend in high school was a gay guy, and literally every single guy in our class concocted a way to try to make out with him. And so I'm just always like, whenever people are like, no woman is actually straight, I'm like, no man is either. Sexuality is a spectrum. Like, it's just that we have more cultural stigma around men expressing that than we do women, because we're like, oh, I had a gay phase in college. I don't think that's a thing anymore. That feels so 90s to say. Yeah, I feel like it's so interesting. Harlequin novels and romance novels, like I think this is okay. This is also going back to what I was saying about like, I think there are certain criticisms being lobbied at Heated Rivalry that people are like, that is not like a criticism of the show. What you're critiquing is like genre convention. And that is being seen as an attack on their critique rather than like, this is not like the show is based on romance novel construction. And so there are just certain beats you literally have to hit in a romance novel. And that's why these things happen in this way. And it's not true to most gay couples, but I just find like the idea of like the realism of a gay couple to be such a funny criticism to lobby at Shane and Ilya. They're hockey players. they're like it's just so fun. I'm like, yeah, this isn't a typical queer relationship. They have to be closeted for literally safety, and like there's plenty of gay people who have to stay in the closet because of safety. But also like usually your job is not, you know, like this is such a dramatized version of what a lot of people go through on a micro scale that I just don't think it's like a fair criticism. But like anyway, it keeps getting lobbied at it. I'm like, this is not oh, that's so fun. Yeah, I feel like it is fandom is fun, and I think a lot of people who have never engaged in it like truly do not understand like the level of intimacy that you can have with people who you've never met in person but who have written you fics being like, here you go. Like my favorite thing in the world is when people write like porn for their friends. I think that is such a fun thing that fandom does all the fucking time. And it's really funny when you just see it on fics that you're like, holy shit, you told your friend you wanted this. That's incredible. How honest of you. And so I feel like a lot of teenage girls discover fanfic and discover this kind of like side of it. And I think like, particularly with millennials, like there was fanfiction.net and all of this stuff. And so like a lot of my friends did have a culture that was not widely known. Like, no, it is wholesome because the thing is like sexuality is so inherent to humanity because we literally would not exist without it. So it's the puritanical nature of America and of like having the world be so shrouded in like Abrahamic religions basically that are very sex shaming and really fuck people up around the idea of sex is that like sex is seen as this huge taboo thing. And I think it's actually really fucking fascinating that women are out here making it completely non-taboo, but in these communities that are like taboo to discuss outside of the community. And yeah, and I think with fic it's so safe because no one like, yes, you can read things that haunt you. But it's safe. You can stop reading at any time, and like you're creating the images in your head if you're someone who can create images in your head, versus like watching something happen to a real human being who you're like, I don't know that they're okay. Like, I think we just have such an unethical porn industry now, and like there is such a thing as ethical porn, and I think that that's really interesting. And I thought it was really interesting that Connor and Hudson did a Quinn like read along erotica thing. I think they like talk about lightning in a bottle timing for that company because I think a week later it would not have happened. It is really interesting because I think platonic sexual interaction is such an interesting way to frame that fic stuff, because there is like there's this my friend and I were talking about it literally earlier today, of like, because I'm rewatching Sex and the City, and I probably will start talking about Sex and the City in ways that I'm excited to do online, because I love Sex and the City and it means so much to me and blah blah blah. It's a perfect show about women, because every single woman is different and messy. And we were talking about how we were talking about her sex life, and we were coming up with like a new position that she could try based on how she masturbates, blah blah blah. It was like very fun. It was a very like fun little conversation. And I referenced the fact that like the Obama White House staffers, who I imagine it's like fucking Jon Favreau who was doing this, used to high five after they do a walk and talk in the White House and go like, "We just West Winged." And I looked at her and I was like, I feel like we should high five and be like, "We just Sex in the City," because it was very sweet. And she and I have known each other. I mean, actually, we've known each other since high school, but we weren't friends in high school, which is an interesting little twist because there were so few of us in that fucking high school. But we've lived together. We lived together for a long, long time, and we moved out west together. And like, yeah, so long time friends. But like, she's been writing about her sex life in her early 20s, and I was present because I was in the apartments that she was having sex in a lot. And we were talking about just like what you do in your early 20s with your friends in your apartments are things that are like, oh yeah, no, I've seen her naked a million times. Like, I've been in the room while people have had sex, because we were living in New York in our 20s and we were fucking broke. Like, it just, shit happens, you know what I mean? And like, we were all so young and horny and dumb that it didn't matter. But sometimes I forget that not everybody has that. You should watch Sex and the City. It's really good. Like, I genuinely believe that it taught me so much about friendship and who I wanted to be, and sex, honestly, and like being game for things. Season 1 is pretty different vibes from, like, she turns to the camera and speaks directly to the camera occasionally, which I love, but they didn't keep. And it's a nice short season, and it's on HBO, and it's pretty easy to find other places. I think it might even be on Netflix now. I used to I need to learn how to torrent again, because I finally found the plug for my old hard drive, which I know has Sex and the City on it, and I can't get it to boot up. The outfits on Sex and the City are incredible. Pat Fields, who was the costume designer for Devil Wears Prada and Ugly Betty and a few other very iconic movies, and had my favorite store in the entire world that she closed a few years ago in the Lower East Side. Her fashion sense is so good. And so like, even if it's an outfit that you're like, I would never wear that, you can understand why the character would wear it. I really liked, yes, exactly. I really liked the first season of that show. I didn't love the show. I find Billie Piper to be an interesting actress because I can never stop seeing her as Billie Piper. That was who did Secret Diary of a Call Girl, right? Did she do another show recently that was about like getting canceled? And like, she got, the first episode is like her being canceled in live time. And she's like at a photo shoot at her house. It was very stressful for me watching the pilot, and I never watched anything more than that. But I find her, like, she's so gorgeous. But I find her, I'm like trying to, because I swear it was it I Hate Susie? Yes, her phone gets hacked, and then like her sex tape leaks, or like her cheating on her husband leaks, something happens that's dramatic, you know. Yeah, I feel like they tried, didn't they try to remake Secret Diary of a Call Girl in America, and I think it only had one season. God, how interesting. Yeah. there were some that like there was a while where we were making like interesting television about sex. And I feel like the last show I can really think of that, I mean, honestly, Heated Rivalry did a great job exploring like sex as intimacy. Again, I feel like there were so many years of terrible, just the most mind-numbing discourse about sex scenes are bad and they're gratuitous and you don't need them. And it's like sex is so fun. Sex is one of the most natural things we do, and it's not for everybody, but it's for a lot of people. And that's okay. It's not bad. It's not dirty. Like not wanting to have sex does not make you a better or worse person. It's a preference. And I feel like I just love that Heated Rivalry is a millennial time capsule because me and my friends always joke about how like we need to bring back the era of the slutty millennial because we were all we were all happy then. I'm like, yeah, I mean, we're also reckoning with what was done to us, but mostly happy. Yeah, I feel like a lot of whenever they try to remake British properties in America, I'm just like, I don't know, guys. Like, Red Shoe Diaries. Okay, Red Shoe Diaries was a fave of mine in college for some reason. There were some really fun episodes of that. Yeah, like, and I feel like even just like Taxi Cab Confessions was like often kind of horny. Like there was just like hornier media, and there was a lot of like I don't know, like Skinamax and stuff. Like HBO had like HBO had a bunch of like true sex and stuff. Like there was just more out there. There was a ton, and I feel like that's the thing is like sometimes people conflate like bad movies with scenes being bad, and it's like no, like thriller. There's so many sexual thrillers, and especially where like sex workers get killed in gratuitous ways and things like that. And it's like the horror genre has a ton of issues in terms of it's like, oh, I mean, hang on. If you want to talk about showgirls, let's talk about showgirls. I should honestly do a long video on showgirls because, whoo boy. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Found it. So I'm obsessed with the movie Showgirls. I think it is truly one of the best movies ever made because it is so not doing what it thought it was doing. And yet, so I do own the DVD. And I bought this DVD especially because it has the camp commentary track on it, where this guy, David Schmader, used to do this like live show in Seattle where he'd like sit down and watch Showgirls and do a live commentary where he would just make jokes the entire time. And they were very, very funny. And so you have to buy the Showgirls VIP edition, which is an entire box set that comes with a bunch of accessories. And I got it on eBay. Yes, the Showgirls, I just think it's so fascinating that Showgirls has the blurred out version, but same. So this is like the box. I think this is such a funny like thing. I can't open up the poster because it's unrated, but this is a fully topless poster of Nomi Malone, and it comes with suction nipple tassels, and you like have to put the tassel on her. It also comes with like a bunch of games and like cards, and I'm like, I think I can show the front of these. And it's like girls at the cheetah, which like what? Like what is this? The blindfold is also for the game, but now I don't see the nipple tassels. So part of me is like, did those go missing? I only broke this out like, oh no, they're down here. It comes with playing cards. Why not? These are the tassels. And it comes, this is what it looks like. The tassels are in there. And it comes with 2 shot glasses. And it has this like Showgirls logo that doesn't even make sense. Like where that's not on stage. So I think this is like truly the tackiest thing in the world, and I fucking love it. Showgirls delivers the goods. It's all about Eve in a G-string, and that was Siskel and Ebert's quote about it. A one of a kind experience, you won't be disappointed. An instant camp classic. I mean, in a way, it has more physical media, but I mean, if we want to do a tour of all of my DVDs, we can do that, because I do have all of the DVDs, all of the extended edition Blu-rays of The Lord of the Rings, because that is what has the majority of the special features. I used to have just the special features torrented because I don't care about the Lord of the Rings movies. I find fantasy too boring. But I love things about making movies, and I talk about the guys who make chainmail all the time. So I have this one which looks like a book, and then I love DVDs for that reason. My friend got me a DVD player for Christmas because I wouldn't shut up about wanting director's commentaries again. I love director's commentaries. I feel like I learned so much about movie making from them, especially like I hate that he's become such a dolt, but David Fincher commentaries are really, really good in terms of understanding like how to block, shoot, set up a scene, what to make actors rehearse, what he's looking for in performance. And I feel like with Lord of the Rings, obviously, like there was the Peter Jackson and the two women, his wife and the other woman, Fran, who wrote the movies. And so that was really fascinating because they talked a lot about their process of adaptation. And I feel like I learned so much from that. And then you had the actors' commentaries, which were just a rip-roaring good time. I made one of my best friends in high school because she made a joke about the kids' commentary, which was spelled with a K, on School of Rock. Thank you, Fran Walsh and Philippa Boynes. And I would like turn around, it was like kids commentary, and then we were like, we're gonna be friends, and we were, and then we had a podcast together about movies, and it was called Don't Forget Meg Ryan. And then we never discussed a Meg Ryan movie for the first one. And then when we finally did, we discussed The Women, which isn't any of our favorite Meg Ryan movies. And it was an interesting choice. We did have a few good episodes. Actually, the best episodes of that podcast were not about movies. The best episode of that podcast, we like reviewed these YouTube videos from Erica Costell and Fit with Cambry because they vlogged Miami Swim Week. And we just talked about like how online influencers are like presenting their life and what you can learn from watching the same event from different angles, and like what people choose to edit in and leave out. And yeah, and then last year, Erica Costell liked one of my TikToks, and I was like, this is truly one of the smallest world things that's ever happened to me. And also, like, I don't like that. You can't be a real person to me. I've talked so much shit about you. So, yeah, good times. But I do think the DVDs really did teach me so much about movies, because the other DVD that I got specifically for the special features was the Finding Nemo DVD, because it had all the behind the scenes about working at Pixar and like how they animated stuff, and it had a bunch of like storyboard to animation transformations for scenes, and like all of the deleted scenes from Finding Nemo are like just done on storyboard or like really rudimentary CGI, because they obviously didn't like fully animate a lot of them. So it was really interesting. It was just cool to see like how it worked. And I was also like, I want to work at Pixar. And then I didn't believe in myself for many, many years. So, and now I don't want to work at Pixar. I'm all set. But I do think it's, I talked about this book recently because people were talking about Shrek on TikTok, because a girl had like a really inflammatory take about how Shrek is about like settling for a man and how he'll turn you into an ogre, which like, I didn't think she was completely wrong. But Shrek is the movie that Jeffrey Katzenberg made as a big fuck you to Michael Eisner. And if you've read the nonfiction book Disney War, you have a lot of perspective on what the actual message of Shrek is and why he was so mad, and what he did. And so I was like, people kept assigning all of this like really deep meaning to what was happening with Shrek. And I'm like, I mean, you can get out of media anything you want, but the reason that the reason that Fiona turns into an ogre is because a Disney princess wouldn't. Like it is, I do think we have to remember it is that simple. um, it's the movie is just making fun of Disney and it's subverting all of the tropes, which makes for a really interesting movie, but is happening specifically out of spite. like, but I do recommend that book if you like nonfiction or if you like audiobooks. Disney War is an incredible audiobook because it really just reads like a juicy podcast about corporate espionage basically in the 90s. And there are some really good YouTube video essays on Defunct Land, especially about Michael Eisner. And I find him to be just kind of like a fascinating character overall, especially because he was such an early mind around like wanting to do things for corporate reasons, but like wanting to make art and saying like it doesn't need to be revolutionary, but if we make money with our art, we will inherently make things that are good or that change the world, but that shouldn't be our focus. Our focus should be making money. And it's like, with art? Like, what are you talking about? And that man ran Disney, and he did course correct Disney, and then he also, built Euro Disney, a place that I have very complicated memories of. Maybe your parents shouldn't take you on a family vacation mid-divorce, but that wasn't what my parents were thinking when they took us to Euro Disney. Um, we were not a Disney family, so it was just a very odd choice all around. And also, I don't know that putting Disneyland in France was anyone's best move, but there were no lines and it was really rainy, and I went on so many roller coasters, and my mom found it very funny when I screamed, so I just did that the entire time. And I would scream like, "I'm gonna kill you." It was very funny. Um, yeah, interesting. Anyway, Michael Eisner, weirdo, but made some poor decisions. The Defunct Land, okay. There is a Defunct Land about Coney Island that I think is genuinely some of the best journalism, just about that time. Oh, that's so interesting. I went in 2004, early 2004. Yeah, it was so strange. I mean, it's weird that they chose France because like they didn't even choose like the nice climate part of France, like, and the French are not known, they weren't known at the time for being friendly. There is a change in French culture where the mayor of Paris was like, everybody has to be nicer because we need more tourists to feel comfortable coming here. You guys are too mean to tourists. And so now there's been like a culture shift, which I just think is very interesting. Also, in terms of cities to look at when people say things can't change, the greenification and bike laneification of Paris is so astounding, and I am obsessed with it. But the Coney Island video on Defunct Land is truly one of the best things ever made. And I watched it with my best friend, and there was this ride carnival thing that people would like go through this fun house, and then at the very end they'd be put on this like kind of like rotating thing where they would like fall over and they would get like spanked, and like people would spit on them, and the whole crowd would laugh at them as they were like humiliated, and then people would get off the stage and like go sit in the audience and like do the same thing to the next people and just like laugh and have fun. And my friend just looked at me and was like, people used to know how to have fun, and we say that to each other all the time. And I'm like, it's because they weren't worried about being recorded. It's because this was the most fun they could ever have, because like they were so like we are so stimulated as a culture compared to anyone who came before us. It's just so, my favorite thing about Euro Disney is that they made them build a real castle. And as Robin Williams said, it's because they actually know what they look like over here. And it's like, I think it's just so fun. Like when we went to Disney World when I was a very young child, because my aunt lived in Florida, and we went to Disney World and I got sick. And I was really little, and they like left me in the hotel. This was like a contentious thing later in my life. But the only thing I remember doing at Disney World was I wanted to go to Animal Kingdom and watch the live show of The Lion King over and over and over again. And then I got sick. And so my parents just bought me like 3 Lion King toys and sat me in the hotel room. It was like, you'll be fine. So that was my first trip to Disney World. So when we went back, I was in 6th grade. We went to Euro Disney. And I was like, I have no, I don't, but I just remember being very young and being like, that's the castle. And we went in and it was plastic and like fake. And I was like, this isn't a castle. And my mom was like, yeah, most Americans don't really know what castles are. But when you live in Ireland, you see castles fucking everywhere because Ireland has the most castles of any country on earth. Because we used to just build castles. Half of them are decrepit and falling apart, but that's fine. And yeah, I think it's so interesting that Disney chose France instead of like Spain. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many places that they could have chosen that have better climates for outdoor adventuring parks. And also, yeah, Europeans don't care about Disney. Like, and I would say like theme parks are not a thing I associate with. Um, yeah, I mean, Ireland's got tons of castles because they're kings and shit. I mean, there's a lot of limestone is in Ireland. It's so interesting to me. There's a prison in Ireland that was used as a prison for people who before they went to Australia, and they taught them how to build things because they were building the prison that they were staying in. And it's like this huge fortress, and it's made out of limestone, and all the limestone was sourced from the island that it's on. And then it was like a teen prison in the 80s, and there was like this huge riot there, and the kids like completely took over the prison. And now it's a museum. And it's like, okay, Ireland was like the single most depressing place in the world in the 80s and 90s. I mean, it wasn't. It was more depressing in the 50s when Angela's Ashes was written about my dad. Um, yeah, I don't I don't know that I've ever said I was born and raised in Dublin, Ireland. I sound like this because we moved around a lot, but like moved back and forth to America. Like my mom's American, my dad's Irish. He's the only one in his family who's ever left. So I'm a dual citizen. So when we like going to Euro Disney was not like a yeah. I feel like I I used to have a joke because I have like an irrational fear of Rasputin. I whenever I used to close my eyes in the shower, I'd picture him attacking me. So I had like night terrors about him. And it was because I saw Anastasia in a movie theater in Paris, and then we left, and I was like, it's too real. Um, that's incredible. There's a fort in Lake Champlain between the Canadian and like it's on the Canadian side, and it's called Fort Blunder because they built it facing the wrong way. Um, and that's one of my favorite fort facts. But yeah, like I think it's hard for Europeans to comprehend how big America is sometimes in terms of like Americans don't have to leave America in order to like travel to like 17 different climates. And it's hard for Americans to understand that in Europe, going from Dublin to Paris is like going from New York to Chicago for the weekend. It's like not a big deal. And so a lot of times when you talk to Americans about like things you've done, they'll be like, "Oh, fancy," and it's like, "No, Ryanair $8." Also, Ryanair free. Ryanair free when your dad works for Tony Ryan, which my dad did. And my mom used to run Ryanair out of the Shannon Airport, and that was just one job she had. Yeah, it's so funny, like it's just in terms of like stag and hen stuff, and like Americans. I not to bring it back to Heat of Rivalry, but like Shane and Ilya going to Ibiza for their honeymoon. Um, am I right about that? Did I make that up? Okay, they go to Spain. I'm pretty sure it's Ibiza. Oh my God, whatever. Um, it's just so funny to me that to imagine Shane in Ibiza. Um, I mean, it's funny because like Americans, like states are close but far and things like that. So like there are people. There was this beer that was exclusive to Vermont, and people would literally do road trips to Vermont just to get Hetty Topper. Um, so I always thought that was funny. But yeah, like I knew I have friends who like still live in Ireland, and they'll talk about like that's true. I mean, it's just it's I just feel like it's a my associations with Ibiza are clubbing exclusively. Like any friend who went there was going there for one reason, and it was to go out and go hard. And so like anytime I know that it's not just that, but um, I was like, I can't imagine Shane there, but I can't imagine Ilya there. Um, so just a funny choice. It just felt very like, I don't know. Sometimes when you read things, like this happens to me a lot in New York, where you'll read things and you'll be like, you've maybe been to New York one time, you don't like understand New York. And I feel like a lot of times with European vacation destinations, I'm like, did you pick that place because that's where they film Love Island? Like, I don't. What association do you have with that area? Especially like there's so many things where people are like, yeah, this also happens in Ireland, where people will talk about Ireland in ways that I'm like, what? What fucking town are you in? Where do people still ride horses into town? Like my aunt had a horse farm, and I worked at it, and like we rode horses to the mailbox because it was like a mile away, but like we didn't ride them into fucking Ballymaloo. um anyway, oh my god, it's 12:08. Okay, I gotta go. I gotta go to bed. Thank you all for hanging out. I had so much fun. Thanks for doing work with me. I have so much work to do this weekend, so inevitably I will be doing more of these. And at some point, I'm gonna film another long form video, and I just, yeah. I have to knock it down on myself for not already doing it, because that is just adding to the pile. Okay, thank you all for chatting. This has been so much fun. Have a great rest of your night or day wherever you are, and yeah, we'll do this.